There we go.
How are you?
I'm okay. What's going on?
It takes a little bit of it's a little bit weird, I notice, when you do a live, because sometimes you have to request or they have to request you. But
Yeah, I know. It just like kind of happened. I didn't see any options on my side
yeah,
to
weird.
send
Okay,
any
good.
requests. So
We're in.
good. Okay.
How are you?
I'm awesome. I got all my notes in my little book, so and my
Cool.
tools.
So I've been waiting for this live forever. I'm actually so excited because it's something that I've been doing a couple of lives, but with different, subjects, and not one with an acupuncturist, a doctor of acupuncture, and in oriental medicine, and in a lot of things that we do have to do with patients coming to us and us putting needles, observing, giving them, prescribe them herbs. I do a lot of aromatherapy. You do a lot of other treatments and modalities, but we also teach people how to continue the treatment at home, right, without the need of needles. And one of the things that we often do is acupressure. And it's not as strong as acupuncture, as we all know, but they work. Constantly stimulating a point creates a healthier lifestyle. So when you and I were talking, I said, oh my God, maybe we can just do a live showing and teaching and showing people that you can treat yourself at home. You also need different type of, healthcare providers, but this is a very nice way to actually start stimulating your immune system.
Yeah.
To prevent or go through manifestations in a different way, not so strongly, no?
Yeah, and as I was practicing a lot of these points on myself, because they're the master tongue points, so they're not traditional TCM points, but they're just a little bit more obscure. I started to notice like shifts and changes in my body, in my internal organs, as I was stimulating the points, just locating them, actually, not even really stimulating them. So they're very powerful. In fact, like we may, they might not feel as powerful on the surface because they're not being needled, but inside our bodies, it is really doing something. As acupuncturists, we're very sensitive to like the bioelectricity in the body because this is our job. We do it every day. Some people may not notice, but just trust me because I can notice, I do notice these things, and I'm sure you do too, Yehudi, but other people may not be as like tapped in as we are because they just do different things with their day every day. But it really does make changes. Even if you don't feel it right away, just give it some time and you'll notice it, on the outside.
Yeah, and now little by little, we are having more testings done and more journals coming out with information that, oriental doctors of medicine and Chinese medicine or acupuncturists have been saying for years,
Yeah.
right? What you said, yeah. And for the past, in my experience, 10 years, I've been doing this for 22. We do have, it's little by little, but for the past 10 years, I have seen a bunch of journals coming out with the information that we have in our masters have been saying for thousands of years, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
proved,
now
it's proven.
it's validated
It's
because
been validated.
someone
Exactly.
on the Western side validated it, but the people in Eastern, studying this, they've known it for thousands of years. So, and just, we're just catching up for a lot of it.
I thought it was very interesting when I started seeing journals coming out and more journals and from accredited, we're going somewhere. It's growing.
Right.
It's growing a lot.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
because
And
it works.
especially about the herbal medicine too. I've taken CEU classes saying that like some of those journals that were posted, like what is the medical journal, the Western Medical Journal, I forgot the name of it, starts with a J, but that some of those were actually removed from their journals. And I was like, yeah, because some of this stuff is like, it's so effective and so powerful, that like some of they don't even want a lot of people to know about it, to be honest. That's the reality we face sometimes, but there's a lot that we can do at home for our acupoints, and not just that, but different tools that we can use to stimulate points, not just like by, you know, massaging, which can be done, but I have some oils and moxa I can show you guys and do like a quick demonstration on certain points. You can understand that those are options for you as well. Essential oils and tinctures and things like that that we can get into.
Show us.
You want me to go ahead? So, okay, so I'll go ahead and get started with points that I use for insomnia. This is these are self-massage points that you can do, and I'll give you a little bit of the energetics behind it. Okay, so for example, a lot of times when we have patients that have insomnia, we needle the neck. The reason that we do that is because, you know, it's so prevalent for people to have stiff neck and shoulders. The reason we do that is because at night, our active energy that keeps us awake and focused all day, the yang energy, it needs to travel back down the meridians that go along the spine. And when the muscles are tight, it gets stuck, the energy gets stuck. And so you kind of start repeating thoughts. You might be worried about something that happened when you were 12 years old and you're like, why am I worried about this now? It's just kind of like recycled mental energy that has no place to go. So that's why we use these points here to relieve that tension and let the energy go down where it belongs at nighttime. And so it's really important to stimulate the points along the occipital bone back here. So you can press, you know, in some of the divots here in the muscle, and then just rock your head back and forth. That's one way to do things. You know, you can kind of move down the muscles like this. Just give yourself a little bit of stimulation. It doesn't have to be super deep tissue or anything, just to let the meridians know that there's passage for the chi to go down is enough. Like, I already feel like really good just by the few pressure points that I did right now. And in conjunction with that, we're going to do points connected to the heart and the pericardium. And that's really important for sleep, because if that energy is too active, again, you're just going to have this upsurge of energy. So I'll show you on my palm here. This point right here, right in the middle, right here, you can stimulate that. It doesn't have to be deep pressure. It can just be like the weight of a nickel. As I'm saying, when you're working on meridians, we're not working on like the muscle groups. We're just working on lines of electricity. Stimulate here. You can go in a clockwise motion, and then a little bit over here towards this tendon near the pinky on this side. So these are 2 points that you can use as well. Another point that's really effective, lucky day everyone, I wore my shorts today so I can show you on my legs, because some of these points, I can describe them to you in anatomical terms. It doesn't mean it's going to be clear, okay? So you can see how white my winter legs are. But there's going to be a point here, okay? So right here, up from the ankle bone, about 4 fingers width, there's going to be a little divot right there. That's something else you can massage. That's called spleen 6. So I don't have to lift my leg again. You're going to know that for when we talk about spleen 6 again. And so those themselves are very good points for insomnia. While we're on insomnia, something that might seem counterintuitive that you can do, and this is for people who are comfortable with moxa. Anyone can buy a moxa stick, okay? This has been burned down about 2/3 of the way. They're normally much longer. So they're like cigars. They're filled with mugwort, which is like a sticky, woolly herb. And you're gonna light it. And the smell is pleasant. It's not going to stink up your house. It will fade eventually, you know, within a few hours. Okay, so it's not going to make your house stink like cigarette smoke or something over time. So you can use this moxa stick on points on the top of your head. And I know earlier I mentioned about wanting that energy to go down, correct? We do want it to go down. That's the yang energy. But there's
We can't hear you. We can't. There's. Yeah.
let's
We
go
we
back.
lost to where it says that you want the energy to
Yes.
go down.
So we want the yang energy to go down, obviously, but there's a difference between that recycle yang energy that we talked about, where you have the same thoughts over and over, or thoughts that don't really matter, that shouldn't be keeping you up, and then clear yang, which is going to kind of like, it's clear energy for the mind. So when you use the moxa at the top of the head, make sure to get, you know, your hair parted. This is actually raising clear yang qi. And that's something that's very important for you to be able to sleep, because it's going to clear your mind of that pathological qi that's not supposed to be there. So it seems counterintuitive, but because of the fact that we're using moxa, that's a really good way to kind of draw it up, because moxa has a nature that's very invigorating. You don't have to do it for very long.
How do you smokeless moxa?
Oh, smokeless? No, it's the same.
Same?
I mean, smokeless
Okay, so
moxa is a little bit more denatured.
smell, or that they don't have a fire alarm system.
Oh, right. So I
They
don't
can
have a
also-
fire alarm in my room, luckily. But with the smokeless moxa, it's moxa that's basically been kind of burned already. It's not, the nature of it itself isn't as powerful as this stick, but it does the trick, and it's incredible for pimples. So pretend this is smokeless, okay? Because I wouldn't want to put this near my face. Let's say I have a pimple right here. You would want to just put it like this, kind of heat up the area, and then you wick outwards to get that. It's just really, we're working on the energetics of your own pimple and just pulling out, okay, this way. And you will notice, like, if it's like a kind of big, like cystic type of thing, it will be less red. It will be way less painful in just a couple of seconds of doing this. And it's going to draw out whatever pus or sebaceous oil is in there. So it works really well for skin conditions as well, specifically cystic acne and like boils on the skin and stuff like that. So what you want to do is that wicking sensation, like heat up the area and pull out quickly, and then heat it up again and pull out quickly. And don't touch your skin with it at all.
Yeah.
You're just going to make it warm, okay? You got any points for us, Yehudi?
Oh, I have, you know, one of the things I actually want to answer one of the questions. It says insomnia, hand or leg, it can be right or left. It can be, I mean, usually I do bilateral, I do both.
Yeah.
But when I use pressure points, I do them, it's the same place, in right and left hands or feet, just to stimulate it a little bit better.
Right. And sometimes you can tell if like your arm hurts a little bit more on the right side, use those points. If it feels, you know, like that, give more attention to that area. If you can tell that it's a little bit.
Yeah, if it's a soreness, or if you feel more at that point, then stimulate it a little bit more on the part that that hurts a little bit, or sore, or you sometimes you feel kind of like if you're good at feeling different type of energetic feels in your body, or if anyone out there does Reiki, you definitely feel the point when it's full.
Right.
Yeah. And then I will spend more time in my right side if I felt that on my right than in my left. But personally, when I do acupressure to patients, to my kids or myself, I do them in both. You hear today's a holiday, so we're in the office, but almost every kid from our family, from the holistic healthcare family, is here.
Oh, so good.
On and off kids talking. I used to suffer a lot from sinus issue, and when I was a student and I was scared. Now I do needles, obviously, but even with my kids when they were babies, or family members that don't like needles, believe it or not, we all have them. Even though we work with needles, we have a mom, a sister, or a dad, or you know, that don't allow us to treat them, which is okay. I find the sinus points, which are right here, locally, right here, amazing. I stimulate them all the time. I used to have a lot of sinus issues, and then with acupuncture and herbal treatments, it went away. And then when my kids started school and they got all this type of viruses every week, especially after COVID as well, I started having some not as bad as it used to, but some, if I get a cold, my sinus reacts. And I find myself, especially with eucalyptus or
Oh yeah,
peppermint oil,
yeah.
I find that stimulating this point, and this point, and it works very well for first people that have allergies and they're congested all the time. I find it to work. I mean, it's a miracle how it works. I also find, and I use a lot of the stimulation and acupressure points, these points right here for headaches with peppermint oil. It's right
Right.
here. I
Yeah, and adding oil to the points is so great because the oils, they have their different function and energetics that really match what we're doing with the points of the point itself. So something else that you can add to sinus issues, or really any issue of the nose, whether it's you may have gotten in an accident, or you have like a headache around your eyes here, or even if you got like a rhinoplasty, like if you got a nose job, there's points that you can add to this. I'll show you on my middle finger. So you're going to go here where this large knuckle is, and between the large knuckle here and then this knuckle, I'm not going to bend down my other fingers because that would be rude, but you can stimulate points here, just in between right here. And I'm telling you, I can already feel it stimulating my nose over here. I can feel something light up when I do this. So again, if you're sensitive to energies and to fields like this, you will start to feel some kind of movement in your face. These points, they're technically 2 points together, but they're so small, you can go ahead, you can just like massage this area here. As I said, it doesn't have to be very deep, just the weight of a nickel. Okay, so whatever you want to do with that. And there's for adrenal insufficiency, people, it's very common to have adrenal insufficiency these days because of demands that our bodies aren't really used to, and the way in which modern society has developed. Our bodies haven't really caught up yet. So the adrenal dysfunction is pretty common for people who feel like a sense of like defeat, or they have difficult sleep even though they're tired and they've worked all day and they've even worked out, and like the tired and wired saying. There are points that you can use for adrenals. Again, we can use the master tongue points here, which are just going to be on the meaty side of the hand right here. So in between, like you'll feel the top and the bottom of this fifth metatarsal here, or metacarpal, sorry. And then on this meaty area, you can just rub in between, and you can squeeze around and feel if there's any sensitivity. And if there is, you just spend a little bit more time on that point. Okay, so you can go in a clockwise manner here. Okay, and again, two very small points right in the middle here. You can go ahead and just go back and forth.
Kim, is for cervicalgia as well?
Yeah, and those, yes, and those points work very well for neck pain, shoulder pain, specifically of the scapula. This is going to help tremendously with that. And if you can just do, maybe hold a couple tender points here, and just let that release, and then do this point afterwards or before, doesn't matter. That's going to make a big difference as well. It's nice with acupuncture because certain points treat multiple issues, like the nose points that I was showing you here. It helps with toe pain, just randomly. It's just okay. we'll just accept that. That's what's fun about Chinese medicine. They're called empirical points, where they don't have anything to do with like
anything
how we generally use them, but there's just like one miscellaneous symptom that's like it's really good for. So it's kind of funny how that works. And then going back to the adrenals, the stomach 36, this is a point that is just incredible for so many issues, for metabolism, for your immune system, for overall energy, for digestive issues, for stomatitis. It's for issues even going on in your mouth or your face, your teeth. It's a really important point. And it's called Zusan Li, which means 3 miles of foot. And so this point is used to like help people like, let's say, who were like running marathons, or like back in the day when acupuncture was just being developed, it was used for people who were like running to like send messages from like city to city, and they would stop and they would stimulate or use moxa on that point to give them more energy so they could keep going. And I've actually used this point doing things like um, uh, not marathons, but half marathons and things like that. And moxa is really good for this. In China, you might notice people who are, you know, kind of old school into Chinese medicine, they'll actually have burn marks on the point. So you get to see my leg again. Here's my knee. I'll pull this down a little bit. You can see my white winter legs. So right under the kneecap here, what you want to do, again, you're going to go down 4 finger lengths, and then on the shin bone, one little, let's say, finger width outside on the muscle, you'll feel a little divot. It's like a dime-sized divot in the skin. You can moxa at that point, and that is incredible for energy, for digestion, and for the adrenal glands. Okay, so if you want to combine that with this point, combine it with kidney 3. Kidney 3 is, it's further down from spleen 6. Okay, so it's between the Achilles tendon and the ankle bone on the inside of the leg. And so it's a kind of a wide divot that we have there. So again, it's just a point where you can go and you can press areas that feel sensitive to you. So I just pressed it and I felt energy come all the way up my leg. So it works real quick. And again, moxa you can use on those points as well. Okay, and a moxa stick, you can just order this on Amazon. I wouldn't suggest to just use it on any point because moxa isn't always appropriate, but you can use it just enough to feel a quick release of energy, and at that point, that's pretty much enough. Okay, unless you're doing stomach 36, you can do it a little bit more.
Use if I going on, I mean, for here in Miami, we really don't have a winter to, you know, we do have all the viruses and everything else, but I use Moxa 36 a lot when I go on vacation to really cold places to stimulate my immune system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really smart.
Use it on my kids too. It's just, you know, a couple of days before or when I go there, and it really does stimulate your immune system. There's a bunch of studies that show it's a really incredible point. I love stomach 36. It's a that
Does it increase your cold tolerance? Do you notice
yes.
that?
And you know, yeah, it does. And I also used it for when I was doing my boards.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you it's memory, but because I don't know, but it does help your brain. It helps your immune system. It helps stigma of yourself. You know, it's a point. There's books just reading about stomach 36. It's an amazing point.
Yeah, that is cool. I know. I realize that just the few points that I've mentioned, or the few indications that I mentioned, I'm like, that's probably like a 1/20th maybe, or less of what you can really do with stomach 36. Like, yeah, it can be used for anything, and it's also a good point for you can use it during pregnancy as well. That's what I like about it. It's not contraindicated during pregnancy. And just to add on for the adrenals, for adrenal insufficiency, often there's going to be low back pain, soreness, weakness, or just, you know, you might go have difficulty walking upstairs. You might get really out of breath when you're using like your larger muscle groups. And a very, very powerful point for that is going to be, it's called bladder 23. Okay. And it's on the back. So the way that you can locate it, again, with acupressure, you know, it doesn't have to be exact because it's difficult to find the exact spot, you know, on yourself, even for me. So you can just like put your hands like right above where your sacrum is, like your sacroiliac joint, and then just go up a couple inches. Okay. So this is going to be in alignment with the second lumbar vertebrae. And you can just start rubbing those points along either side of the vertebrae about, like, let's say approximately an inch out, and just find the points that are sensitive and hold them there. You know, I don't expect anyone to know the exact location, you know, when you're working on your own back, but your body will tell you which area you need to stop at. And something that I use on this point, so this is Hamoxa product that is actually a balm. So it's kind of a thick, sticky balm. It's very warming in nature. So when we have things that are warming, obviously that's going to create movement in the system, in the meridian. And Chinese medicine is much bigger on heat therapy overall than in Western medicine. So with this is called Osmoxa. I have tried to find this on Amazon. I don't know where else to buy it besides our supplier that we use in West Palm Beach. So if you want some of this, you can go through me and Yehudi. We can order this for you. It's like $5 or $6, not very expensive. So this is something that's really good for application to the low back when you have pain, even the lower abdomen. If you have a sensation there of like a cold sensation, a stuck sensation, or it feels just kind of like baggy and like lifeless in that area, it's another indication of kidney/adrenal dysfunction and some reproductive issues. But this product is very powerful for that. And then you avoid the smoke. You don't have to deal with like, you know, an ember or anything like that. But this product is really good. So it's called Osmoxa Moxa Balm. And if you can't find it, get a hold of us and we'll send it to you, okay?
So that cream, that balm, you actually advised me to do it when I fractured my foot, remember?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is not something I'm actually telling people to do. When you have a fracture, you have to go through the healthcare providers, including an acupuncturist, because, you know, there's a fracture bone. So this is not something that you can treat at home. But I did it. Obviously, I went to the orthopedics. I came here. You treated me. I treated myself. But at one point, when it was time to use the Moxa, I used that product, and it's very effective.
Yeah.
It helped me a lot with the pain. It helped me a lot with the healing of the bone. It helped me a lot with the bruising. It helped me a lot with, you know, and it shortened the period of healing.
Right. Yeah, because it still has the same effect, the same nature of mugwort, which is to invigorate and to move. So yeah, this stuff is incredible. I've actually used it before if I felt dizzy. I actually used it last night. I kind of felt like, I don't know, like it's sort of my energy was just flooding upwards a little bit. So I used this on my low back and my sacral area. And I could just feel the energy sort of like break up down on the lower part of my body. And I felt much more calm, and I was able to fall asleep when I was supposed to fall asleep. And then speaking of oils, now that we're on the topicals, there's something else that I get from my sister because she does the doTERRA thing. So this is a product called Clary Calm. I don't know if you can see it through the glare. This has a Vitex in it. And Vitex is a really effective herb for women's fertility issues or any reproductive issues, actually. It can be used for PMS. It can be used for menopause. And the Vitex extract is in this product. So if you're having a heavy period or painful period, you can put this on spleen 6, the first point that we mentioned, or really anywhere along the inside of the foot and ankle area, all the way up to where I mentioned, maybe even like halfway up the shin bone on the inside. This will, and you'll notice this right away, that it will just halt the bleeding. If you're having a really heavy period and you're like, oh, it's kind of just like maybe one of those days where you're just really wiped out, this will kind of chill it out for you, and it works immediately. So this is a really great product to keep on hand for menstrual issues. And speaking of menstrual issues, there is some acupuncture points have really, really cute names. And this one I love the most. It's called Restore the Nest. Okay, so this is another master tongue point. And this is on the lateral side of your ring finger. So it can be on either side. So we're going to go right here in the middle, and you're just going to find a sensitive point here. Okay, it's right in the middle. It's on, you'll feel it kind of on the bone. Okay, the difference between the master tongue points and traditional acupuncture points is that the master tongue points are a lot smaller. Think about maybe the size of a grain of rice. Okay, so you don't have to be super precise, but if you can feel a little indent in the skin, then you got it. Okay, either way, you can still stimulate this point. And this point is fantastic for stabilizing a pregnancy. Another really cute term that we use in Chinese medicine for doing that is calming the restless fetus. So, you know, it's like if you're someone who's prone to miscarriage, or you kind of might feel like something's not going right, obviously you need to get help right away from your gynecologist, but this is something that you can use in the meantime, and this is something that you can use throughout your pregnancy that it's going to stabilize it. And it also can help with fallopian tube blockage and uterine pain and pelvic inflammatory disease, really anything that has to do with like an inflammation in the reproductive area. And this point can be added in conjunction with another point I'm going to show you on the thumb. So points combined are going to be doubly as powerful in Chinese medicine, especially if you can combine them with some points that are local as well. So for here, I mean, if you wanted to use these points and maybe a little bit of this oil on the lower abdomen, that would be a really great way for you to just like give yourself a little boost, give yourself a little treatment if you have issues like ovarian cysts, some abdominal distension, if you have cramps, if you have PCOS, you know, that kind of thing. So you can combine this point right here, restore the nest. This point, unfortunately, doesn't have a cute name. I don't know what the name is, but this is going to be on the inside of the thumb, okay? So it's going to be on the border of where like the soft skin kind of meets like the outside skin here, okay? So this is going to be 2 points right here. You're going to feel it there and there. Again, they're the very small points, the size of a grain of rice. You don't have to be exact. You can just massage this area. Again, I'm feeling movement in my lower abdomen. Immediately, I can feel something shift. So even if you don't feel it working, just trust us. It is working because like we know, like we can feel it. You got any more points for us, Yehudi?
This is so interesting. Yeah. I love this, what you're saying. So for, not really, I mean, infertility, it's a big word and big treatment, right? I mean, it goes deeper than it, but I use that oil a lot of my patients, and I ask them to, you know, they get it, and they use it through the REM meridian under the umbilicus. Mm-hmm. And you can use around the same, show a picture, but it's under the umbilicus to, you know, there's a bunch of points on that meridian that have to do with women issues per se, you know, and the uterus. And I use that oil a lot. And I also use moxa. Mm-hmm. They come to see me. We do needles and we do everything else. We actually do tweener. We do a massage to stimulate the uterus as well. But at home, I often tell them, get this product and use moxa almost every night or every day, every morning, to help with the treatment of it and bring this burst, the energetic field if they have PCOS, or, you know, or clean the uterus. Right. Blood to the uterus. And that I combined it with liver points, which is liver 3. And liver 3, you mentioned liver 3 already? No. Let me. And again, all those points, we're already talking about not really a headache, you know. These are standard points that we use. But I do need to say that acupuncture and oriental medicine, it's an individual base, you know. So not everyone that suffers from what we call women issue or the reproductive system, it's going to get the same points. But what I'm, you know, through the RAN meridian or liver 3, it's most of us, you know. Let me see if I could, liver 3 point. I stimulate that point a lot for cramps, you know, stomach 36 moxa, RAN meridian moxa, and this point right here, I hope I can. Hold on, I don't know how to do this. So Um, does it show there?
Yep. Yeah.
So stimulating that point and using moxa on your belly and the Ren meridian, I found it to be amazing when we're cramping and we have um, period, issues. Um,
Yes. And another great point to use with that is we'll talk now about most pain management. So combining what you just said with liver 3, and then a really popular point that most people know who are not even, like really like privy to acupuncture is this point here, which is called Hagu, large intestine 4. And there's different versions of this point, depending on what type of acupuncture that you're using. But overall, just wherever is the most sensitive is where you can stimulate. So if you have pain, you can combine this one with the liver 3 that we just talked about, and that will give it an extra boost. If you move down a little bit, so like liver 4, Li4 is on the fleshy part, right? If you move down a little bit, here's a master tongue point that's going to be between these two metacarpals here. So like right where they meet, another small point is going to be right there. Okay. And that point is extremely powerful for moving the energy very, very quickly. Okay. So this one, you can stimulate this one a little bit deeper than just like the weight of a nickel, like we talked about. Because honestly, if we use this point in acupuncture, you can go in pretty deep with the needle on that one. So if you don't like that, we don't do that, but you can stimulate it yourself, and then some local points. So this is going to send energy to any other place on the body that you're stimulating. So if you use this point, and then let's say you have some pain in your leg, you can massage that area, and this will actually create a quicker current of moving the blood and chi through that area to relieve the pain. Because when we have stagnation, this is how we understand this in Chinese medicine. When, for whatever reason, the blood is pooling, the chi is, there's an imbalance causing the chi to either be too deficient to move the blood along or too backed up to move the blood along, then there's going to be distension in the vessels. And when that starts to swell, it puts pressure on the nerves, and that's what gives you pain. So we really, really just want to create movement. That's what acupuncture is all about, just creating circulation through the area. So, one great way to do that is with moxa. Another great way to do that is with these very powerful points that are designed for that. But it's best to direct that energy where it needs to go. So you can stimulate this, and then you can maybe even stimulate, let's say you have cramps, you can stimulate this point, and then you go ahead with the ones on the inside of the thumb here. And that's a really good combination. Maybe a little oil on the lower abdomen, and then that's going to help move things along.
I find that point to be amazing for headaches.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, and that's like it's
when you're about to get a headache,
indication.
go like this, and it actually hurts. Needles, if you go too deep, it hurts a lot. But pressure point, that point hurts. And sometimes when we're very stagnated, you actually, and you're sensitive to energy without being an acupuncturist, you actually feel that full.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is to go slowly, and stimulate it until you actually, it's more smooth.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. Yeah,
I find that
you'll be able to tell. What?
I find that point even for cold, it gets very, very floated.
Exactly. Yeah, this is another point like stomach 36 where the list of indications is just like miles long. It does so much. This one, contraindicated in pregnancy. So if you're pregnant or you think you could be pregnant, don't go anywhere near any of these points. But if you have a headache, if you have a cold, what this point actually does in conjunction with this point here on the wrist, okay? So you're going to go down here, and you're going to go right at the tip of the bone where it sticks out here, this whatever process, I forget the name of it, but you'll feel the point here. Combining those two will help release pathogens that are trying to attack your body that haven't gone too far inside yet. So if you start to feel sick, these points are really great to use. Also, let's go back to the neck, a couple neck points here. And these points are very powerful for releasing those pathogens that are about to make you, you know, have like a cold or cough or fever or whatever.
Yep.
If you travel a little further down the spine, right under C7, when you feel the big vertebrae right at the top, that's another point that you can stimulate there, and that will also aid in the release of pathogens. And once that's, you know, out of your system, you don't feel sick anymore, then go ahead and you can use stomach 36 to boost your immune system so that it will fight off further pathogens.
Yeah, I find that to be very helpful when you're about to get sick, to do GB20, and I could put it on the computer so people really can see it, and then do 14. And if there's fever, especially in kids, adults, we don't get that much fever, but when you do get it, peppermint and lemongrass oil in it stimulate those points.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Oh, that would feel
I
nice.
find it amazing. Yeah. And also, if there's cough for the doTERRA brand, which I think they're absolutely amazing, the one that's called Breathe, you can stimulate long one, which is right here with the clavicle, with the Breathe. And, you know, run 17, you know, around here. But I also find it, and I do when I go out of town, to stimulate the lung meridian, you know, to do these exercises on the lung.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll show
A
you.
little bit of qigong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know,
That's smart. On the
stimulate
inside.
it, you know, for like 3 minutes every day. Stimulate your lung, especially in before cold season, flu season. It's to let me put the long meridian channel and see
Yeah,
that.
and I can show you guys here on the point that's really important for the lungs is called lung 5. Okay, so it's on the elbow crease here, and when you'll feel for the tendons, go on the outside of the tendons, on the area, like the line that's closest to your thumb, right there. Okay, that's really important to get inflammation out of the lungs, to help dispel phlegm from the lungs, because you have to have healthy lungs in order to have a strong immune system. And so when you're doing this, like, yeah, make sure that you get that point right in the middle. It's kind of an awkward area because it's like soft and there's tendons there, but if you find the point, you'll know.
Do you see it or no? Like,
Sure.
do you see the meridian there?
Yeah.
You can always Google everything and Google long meridian in Oriental medicine. And that's something that people should do, even with, you know, when they dry brush themselves in the morning and you meditate, just, you know, stimulate the long meridian.
Yeah. That's smart.
Amazing advice to actually.
Right. And then, like, speaking of things you can do on your own, if you're having anxiety, if you're overthinking or just sort of feeling like overwhelmed or something to the effect where like there's just too much stress going on, something that I think is really cool that we can do is qigong. And qigong is invisible, so you don't, you know, if you're in public or you're on a flight or something's going on where, you know, you don't, you know, maybe you're not comfortable doing this or putting wax on your head, or like, this is invisible, this is all with your mind. And in Chinese medicine, there's a saying called mind over Shen. And Shen is basically the, you know, it's what houses our spirit. And if we have a Shen disturbance, that's going to be, it's going to manifest in anxiety and depression and mental emotional issues. And, you know, maybe when it gets bad enough, some, you know, personality issues that down the line if it doesn't get addressed. So our minds are very, very powerful, and our minds control our Shen. Therefore, our minds, you know, are more powerful than our emotions. So it's important to remember not to let your emotions control you, that you can control your emotions. And sometimes it's harder said than done, but if you're not capable of really like facing that in that time, or if you're feeling super overwhelmed, one thing that you can do is qigong, and this is called small heaven circle. And this is a really beautiful method to be able to just chill yourself and do on a regular basis to just help yourself. So you're going to imagine, I start at the top of my head, okay? So this is all just with your own focus. I imagine energy at the top of my head, and then I create like a waterfall sensation. So I'm just here closing my eyes, and I just imagine a waterfall that starts at the top of my head and goes all the way down my spine to the tip of my tailbone. And as I'm doing it right now, it just feels like nice fingertips, okay, along my spine. It feels great. And then what you want to do is you can pull that energy back up. And this is when you start to activate the REM meridian. So this is the meridian that is like the nutritive, the cooling. This is what we want more of at night. This is what we need at night to be able to sleep, to be able to stay asleep and to not have like crazy dreams, and for our body to replenish itself. So along the midline, so this will be like coming from the tip of the tailbone back up into the pelvic region, all the way up the middle of the body and the middle of the face, and then you're back here pulling that yang energy down. So when yang energy is too much, when it's too powerful, when it's moving in the wrong direction at the wrong time of day, or if it's just moving too much, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that in a way that's like resembles, that's causing anxiety or causing overthinking or dizziness or lack of focus. So that's something that you can do, that, you know, you just repeat the cycle until you feel better, and you'll get good at it. That's what's so great about Chinese medicine. It really teaches you your true power, you know, that you can move energy with your mind, and you can practice in your own body, and you can see what that really does for you. And it's just an incredible way to be like a tool to have for yourself to manage stress and manage anxiety. And even at night, if you can't sleep, sometimes I just lay there in bed and I do this, and I'll be able to drift off after a few rounds of doing that. It's very effective. Do we have questions? No questions?
Mine, I think I then exist. No, we don't have questions, but what's interesting, what is, no, but usually people tend to send questions afterwards. You know, that has been my experience. So by all means,
yeah, if
you can.
anyone has questions about any issue that you're dealing with, or a topic that we haven't covered, and you want us to, you know, throw some points out at you, let us know.
So much fun. Yeah, if you guys have those questions, we can talk, we can make other lives, we can, it's so well explained. That's so sweet. They don't have questions because it's very well explained.
Aww.
You have done a beautiful job. You have explained things in a beautiful manner. Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to leave it for next life?
I covered all the points, and I covered, you know, everything that I could think to bring to the table today. So if no one has any other questions, then you can always message Yehudi or I if you have any, you know, we can help you with anything that you forgot to ask about today.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, I hope you had fun.
I did. I hope everyone had fun. Thank you. And let us know if you guys want any of this product. This Moxa product is amazing for menstrual issues and pain. It's really powerful stuff. This little thing will last you a couple months because you don't need a lot of it, okay? Okay. Well, thanks. You guys have a great day.
And someday.
Yeah.
I hope this really, you guys enjoyed it, and it's good information to have.
Okay. Bye-bye.